Welcome to the...
What's up, everyone? Queen, what's going on? Hope you guys are having a great day. Oh, let's get into
Welcome to the revolution.
Okay, I have like one more. We have to play the Wisconsin national anthem. Go. Oh my gosh. I feel like I gotta go freaking take a nap after that. That was incredible. Oh, okay, let's get right into it. The debate is starting. Okay, let me just get this straight, okay? So I went on I've been looking up for the times for this stupid debate because I'm not a Wisconsinite. And PBS has told me a different time. Other people have told me many different times. Whoa, Chrono. Yo. So many people have told me different times, and I'm just like, what the heck is going on? So even PBS hasn't started yet, but then I found it on Reuters has started. So let's just get right into debate. Let me know how you guys are doing, how you're feeling, and I'll start the debate. Go. Sorry about that. You know, this is what happens when they... let me catch up to right at the
Downtown
beginning.
Milwaukee, the Wisconsin Broadcasters Association Foundation presents the
But how's everyone doing this Friday? Oh my God.
Republican Senator Ron Johnson and Democratic challenger
Who do you guys think is going to win this debate?
Now, here's Wisconsin Broadcasters Association President and CEO
every
Michelle
other day.
Vetterkind.
Okay. Did it just stop? Okay, you know what? This is what happens.
4 times than I care to count. Lost my first friend.
This is what happens when you deal with me. All right? Let's get back right into it. Now my mouse is being weird. Okay. This is a one-man show, all right, people? You know, I'm doing my best. Forget the rest. How is everyone doing this freaking Friday?
And
I hope you're doing
Democratic
good.
challenger Lieutenant Governor Mandela Barnes. Now, here's Wisconsin Broadcasters Association President and CEO Michelle Vetterkind.
Good evening. The Wisconsin Broadcasters Association and its member radio and television stations are pleased to welcome you to this U.S. Senate debate.
See, PBS still hasn't
Tonight's
started
event
yet.
originates from Milwaukee, Wisconsin,
So stupid.
at the studios of Milwaukee PBS. We have a team of broadcasters from
Weed
communities
addict?
large and small across the state.
That's okay.
Involved in bringing
You're
this debate to
You're
you.
welcome here, Brendan. How's
Tonight's
everyone doing
debate
this Friday? Is anyone doing
continues
anything fun this Friday?
Long-standing commitment to excellence and public service. The debate is underwritten by the WBA Foundation and supported by a grant from the Wisconsin Association of Independent Colleges and Universities and the
current
Wisconsin
year?
Counties Association.
Yes.
Now let's go to our moderator, a veteran Wisconsin broadcaster,
Get him,
member
Brendan.
of the WBA Hall
Get
of
him.
Fame, and professor of leadership
been
and media
drinking.
integrity
There you go.
at Loyola University Chicago.
That happens.
Jill Geisler.
This background music is way too intense. I think there might be two different... I don't know if there's like two different things going on, but... So
Good
PBS
evening.
Wisconsin
On
hasn't even
Tuesday,
started,
November
but
8th,
this is
Wisconsin
starting.
voters will decide who will be their U.S. Senator for the next 6 years. Our goal tonight is to help you make an informed choice as you
Get in
hear
the chat,
from
tell
the
us how
two
you're doing.
major party
Also
candidates.
tell us who do you think is going to win.
Incumbent Senator Ron Johnson and Wisconsin Lieutenant Governor Mandela Barnes.
I'm
The
drinking
candidates have agreed to the
Richard's
rules.
water.
For each question, they will be told the length of time they have for responses, either 1 minute or 30 seconds. They and I can see countdown clocks. When they hit their time limit, I will advise them. If they continue, I'll
this
note
lady
it,
looks like
and their
the worst.
microphone
Ron
will
Johnson.
cease to work.
Ooh, Ron
If
Johnson.
candidates fail to answer a specific
What's
question
our word of the
or
day?
change
What's the
the
word we're
subject,
gonna-
I'll
if we
exercise
hear
the
it, we're gonna
moderator's
start
option
screaming.
to call that out and
Put
give
it in
them
the chat.
just
Tell me
30
what word
seconds
is the
to
word of the
give
day.
a specific answer. Please note, this debate will provide an additional service for voters. Many complex issues require
you're
deeper
new here,
context
I
and
do not-
verification,
I don't
especially when charges
talk
and
very much
countercharges
over
are
the
exchanged or
actual
when
debate.
statistics and shorthand terms are
Croto,
used.
they're not going to say that
So,
word.
Thanks to our debate's data team, we will be providing you links to additional research
I'm doing
materials
great,
about our
feeling
key
good.
topics. To read more about a subject, follow the link you'll see on screen or follow the WBA on
Croto, you're
Facebook
crazy. What
or
have you been
Instagram
drinking,
or
man?
Twitter. Our hashtag is WBA Debate. Now, the order of response for the first and last question.
I don't blame you. You got to
was
do what you got to do,
determined
man.
By coin toss. And with that, let's begin with the first question. From a member of our question team, Kim Murphy from WITI in Milwaukee. Now, you're seeing her picture. Despite her hard work, she can't be here because of COVID protocols. So she's asked her teammates to present her questions for her. So with that, let's go to Dale Ryman of
Wisconsin still
WSAW
shut
in
down or
Waukesha for
something?
Kim.
Thank you, Jill. Good afternoon, good evening, gentlemen. We want to start with the topic of marijuana legislation. This news just coming out yesterday that President Biden is pardoning thousands of Americans convicted of possession of marijuana
Oh, this
under
question's for you,
federal
Brendan.
law. He says it's a dramatic step toward decriminalizing the drug and addressing charging practices that disproportionately impact people of color. What is your position on the federal legalization of marijuana? Senator Johnson, we'll start with you, and you have 1 minute.
Well, good evening. First, I want to thank the Wisconsin Broadcast Association and the Wisconsin Public TV station for hosting this. I also want to thank the panelists
So true,
for
Queen
participating.
Bird.
I hope the questions will be fair and balanced and really focused on the issues that really impact Wisconsinites, so we can have a good discussion on 40-year high inflation, record gas prices, skyrocketing crime, an open border, and the flood of illegal drugs. Talking about drugs, marijuana. I think it ought to be a state-by-state decision. I think the only thing on a federal basis, it doesn't make any sense for where marijuana is legal, that we're not able to use a banking system, so these marijuana companies have mountains of cash, which just leads to a potential for crime. So I could see federal legislation to open up the banking system to those states where you have legalized marijuana, but I would suggest any state should really take a look seriously at the harm being done by the legalization of marijuana and
Senator,
consider
your time
that
is
very
up.
carefully.
Thank you, Senator.
Lieutenant Governor?
Yes,
said
thank you
he'll
so much.
consider.
Thank you for hosting the debate. Thank you for
He'll
the
say
question.
yes.
Now, I've long supported the full legalization of marijuana.
The students
as a
blacked
member
out
of the
drunk by 8
legislature.
p.m.
And now as Lieutenant Governor, and it's what I hope that we could accomplish as a nation if I'm elected to the United States.
Of course he's going to
Senate.
say yes.
Far too many people fall victim to a system that incarcerates folks for marijuana possession. Now, this is something that's legal in our neighboring states. In Illinois, in Michigan, even medical marijuana in Minnesota. Those states are receiving huge benefits because of the revenue that's generated from the legalization of marijuana. That's money
7:30.
that goes to their schools, money that goes to their roads. Most importantly, it's money that Wisconsin misses out on. If we have federal legalization of marijuana, we could do so much more in this state. Now, it's unfortunate that we have people who are decades behind on this issue. It's people who are supported by the pharmaceutical industry.
He does
where
sound
we
like he's
have
reading
an
the news.
issue with overprescription of drugs. Now,
There's no game in
marijuana
legalizing
is
weed if
harmless, and
alcohol is
marijuana is
legal.
something that states all over
Marijuana
the
should be,
country
of course.
have embraced, and they are seeing
Lieutenant Governor,
phenomenal
your
benefits
time
as a
is up.
result of
It's
it.
such a
Thank you.
silly
Let's go
argument.
now to Mark Leland.
Tom
This
Myers
is a question
is
on
here talking
conditions
about-
for bail. The trial of Darrell Brooks got underway this week in Waukesha County. He's charged with killing 6 people in the Waukesha Christmas parade after getting out of jail on bail. The case has raised the issue of which pretrial defendant should be kept behind bars. A bill introduced in Congress last year discourages states from making the payment of money a condition
Chords on
for
Rumble. What's
pretrial
up, man?
defendants to be released from jail. It details how defendants with access to money can buy their way out of jail while poorer defendants remain locked up. Would you agree that conditions for keeping a defendant locked up should be based on whether the defendant is a threat to public safety and/or likely to fail to appear back in court, and not the ability to pay bail? Lieutenant Governor, we'll begin with you. You have 1 minute.
Thank you so much, and I really appreciate this question because it has been sensationalized and it's also been mischaracterized. Now, I supported bail reform. Now, under my plan, dangerous people don't get to buy their way out of prison. Now, Senator Johnson may not have encountered a problem he couldn't buy his way out of, but that's not reality for the majority of people in this state. And what has come to light is how people have unfortunately used the Waukesha tragedy, even going so far as to use it in commercials, re-traumatizing families. Now, under my plan, the perpetrator wouldn't have been able to get
Papa,
out
what's up?
$1,000 or $100,000. This is about keeping people safe by making sure that those who are likely to offend and cause harm do not get to buy their way out of jail. That's the system that we have now. And this sort of reform that I support has been supported by Republicans all across the country as well.
Grown up, you're crazy.
Senator, you have 1 minute.
Get him, Ron.
We have a huge problem with skyrocketing crime. One of the issues is we're not keeping criminals in jail. And Lieutenant Governor, when he was in the legislature, wrote the bill to eliminate cash bail. That is one of the methods that we can use to make sure the dangerous criminals stay in jail. Lieutenant Governor and Governor, their goal as they entered their office was to reduce the prison population by 50%. They've already reduced it by about 15%, and they've paroled about 884 criminals. You'd think they start with nonviolent. No. Only 11% were nonviolent, about 100 criminals. The other were violent criminals, including 44 child rapists, 270 criminals who primarily committed or at least attempted murder, and the murders were horrific. So if you want to reduce crime, first of all, you have to fully fund the police, and of course, my opponent is opposed to fully funding police budgets, but we need to keep criminals in jail.
Oh, you're busted, Papa.
Thank you.
Well, I'd like to.
I'm sorry, time is up, and we're going to give you time at the end. If there is something that you feel has been misrepresented, you'll have time at the end in a final question.
Fair enough. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, let's go to Monse Ricosa of Telemundo, Wisconsin.
Thank you.
There's a white woman in charge.
There's agreement on both sides of the aisle that something about our country's immigration system needs to change, but how is the sticking point, especially as it can affect employment rate in Wisconsin? By the year 2030, it's estimated that the working population in our state will shrink by 130,000 people if we don't have an increase in migration. Would you look at making a path to citizenship more accessible
Yes,
as a
you can,
solution
Chrono.
to our impending employment crisis? You'll have 1 minute,
It's
Senator
not
Johnson.
the word I think you're going to say.
Well, in order to have immigration reform, we have to first secure the border. And we, by and large, had it secured under the previous administration. We'd stopped the flow of unaccompanied children and family units exploiting our asylum laws. We'd actually even cut in half adult immigration until President Biden took office, and then the border was opened up. We are dealing with about 7,000 people per day being encountered, processed, and dispersed throughout America. It's about 3 million people. It's also opened up our border to the flow of deadly drugs. Illegal immigration is not good or humane for the immigrants. They are being abused by the human traffickers, about an $18 billion a year business. How do you think, for example, young women pay off their human trafficking fee? The human trafficking, the sex trafficking, that is an untold story, and unfortunately the news media is covering up for the Biden administration.
Senator, I do have to exercise the moderator's option. The question was about immigration reform.
So you have to first secure the border.
And understand.
Once you've done that, then we have to fix the asylum standard. Right now we have a very low standard of credible fear. All somebody has to do is step into the country, say they're afraid to go home, even though they don't even come close to qualifying for asylum. We let them in. We're so backlogged. That's why we have about 3 million people into this country since the Biden administration took office. That's completely out of control.
I don't know what video you're talking about, Brendan.
Lieutenant Governor?
Well, thank you so much. Now, our immigration system is completely broken, and I fully support comprehensive immigration reform that creates a path to citizenship for our dreamers and for their families. What we're doing right now does not work. And I'll tell you, people all across the state of Wisconsin agree. It is unfortunate that we have a member of the United States Senate does not side with the majority of people of Wisconsin. Now, I've spent a lot of time talking to family farmers. They know that fixing our broken immigration system and creating that pathway to citizenship isn't just a humane thing to do, it's also good for our economy, as you mentioned. This is something we have to do. We can create a system that keeps our border safe, that treats people with dignity and respect, does not subject our children to the horrors of family separation. Now, the senator had 12 years to do something about this. He even had a chance with a bipartisan infrastructure law because there was funding in there for border modernization, but the senator decided to play politics instead of doing the right thing.
Thank you very much. Let's go to AJ Bayatpour from WKOW.
That's what they're pushing for, Queen.
Gentlemen, this is a two-part question on the issue of Social Security. The Social Security Trust Fund is currently on pace to be underfunded by 2034.
Wow, nice haircut.
Concern, you have said you support making the program a discretionary one, meaning Congress could make changes to it in each budget cycle. Lieutenant Governor Barnes, you have said you oppose that. First, why should or should not Social Security be made discretionary? And beyond that, what specifically should Congress do to ensure the program remains fully funded? Lieutenant Governor Barnes, you'll go first. You each have 1 minute.
Thank you so much. When I think about Social Security, I think about my grandparents, I think about my parents, I think about so many other retired Americans who paid into a system.
Oh yeah, big time.
Deserve to retire with some dignity
Social Security is the worst.
Now, it's unfortunate that Senator Johnson
Imagine thinking you could rely on your government to save you.
There was even an instance where he called Social Security
Just called it a Ponzi scheme.
He called Social Security candy. This is what is keeping
Ron Johnson
people who have worked their entire lives afloat. And the threat to take that away from them does not sit well with me, along with most other people. Now, what we need to do is not just make Social Security solvent. We should strengthen Social Security. We can do that by making sure the wealthy pay their fair share. We need to make sure that billionaires are paying more into this system. Now, the senator goes on about the deficit, but he had no problem blowing a $2 trillion hole into the deficit by passing the 2017 tax bill that gave $215 million in tax deductions to his biggest donors in a single year. And he wants to put Social Security and Medicare on the chopping block. He's in it for his wealthy donors, not working people.
Your time is up, but just to be specific, let me exercise the moderator's option. Should it be reviewed each year?
It should not be discretionary spending.
Exactly.
Okay.
It should not be discretionary spending.
Senator?
So let me make myself very clear. I want to save Social Security. I want to save Medicare. The greatest threat to Social Security and Medicare is the completely out of control deficit spending and our growing debt. We've added $7.5 trillion of new deficits over just the last 3 years. That is the greatest threat. That is what has also sparked inflation, 40-year high inflation. Do you realize that a dollar you held at the start of the Biden administration is only worth 88.3 cents? If you were a senior,
what's up?
Fortunate enough to have a little nest egg, let's say $100,000 for ease of calculation.
Exactly.
That $100,000 that you had at the start of the Biden administration is only worth $88,300 because of the out of control deficit spending. What I've been saying is we should be looking at all spending so we can prioritize, and Social Security, Medicare would be at the top of the priority list.
Papa.
I've never ever said I would cut it or put it in the chopping block. That is a false attack.
Called it a Ponzi scheme and called it candy.
Lieutenant Governor, this is his time, and I'm
Mikhail,
going to
thank you
add
so
a little
much for
time
asking.
to that.
I'm doing
to
well.
once
Thank
again,
you.
You have proposed reviewing Social Security rather than having it be what's called an entitlement, which means it goes on.
You're putting words in my mouth.
All right, sir.
I was talking about we have part of the reason we're $31 trillion in debt now is because we separate mandatory versus discretionary.
Brendan, don't make fun of
we don't even
Corona
look at
if you talk like that.
70% of the budget, and so we spend like drunken sailors on the other 30%. We need to combine everything. Look at all of it so we start prioritizing spending. We can't afford, for example, to spend $369 billion on the Green New Deal fantasy that, of course,
Hunter Biden is a legitimate businessman.
Versus review your position.
Pardon?
Back to whether or
it's
not
an entitlement. We have to honor those promises, but the greatest threat to those promises
this lady
is
is not understanding anything.
Right, thank you, Senator. Let's go to the next question, Monsi Ricosa. Oh, I'm sorry.
You're not talking.
My mistake. Let's go to the next question.
You're not talking in
Brad
narrative
Williams
talk.
from WISM Radio in La Crosse.
He's rubbing off on
Our
you.
question is about minimum wage. Many Americans continue to struggle to make a living wage. When it comes to the federal minimum wage, you both have said you support an increase in the minimum wage. Given the rise in inflation we've seen this past year, specifically, what dollar figure would you support setting the minimum wage at, and why? And Senator Johnson, you're first. You have 1 minute.
Well, I said I would consider possibly increasing it to a certain extent. They may be indexing it toward inflation. I think you'd have to be very careful because when you increase the minimum wage, you can also eliminate jobs. So I think a strong economy is the best approach to this thing. I really don't like the federal government getting involved in doing price fixing on anything, and that includes wages. If you have a strong economy, which we had under the previous administration, you had plenty of jobs and you had rising wages. I think something like $2,000 to $4,000 per year is what the average.
Okay, not to pause this, but you guys are talking about Hunter Biden, and I'm like in this weird downward thought process of what if Hunter Biden is actually the good guy and the dad is forcing him to do things he doesn't want to do, and he's taking advantage of him over his drug addiction. Wait, I forgot to put this on while I said it. I forgot to put this on. What if Hunter Biden's actually the good guy? I'm serious. What if Hunter Biden actually is the whole enchilada, the whole shebang, the one guy that's on everyone's side and he wants the best for everyone? What if he was a good guy? Sorry, I'm back.
Average family increase their wage by. So that's the best thing, is have the marketplace take care of it rather than government set a minimum wage, which then starts eliminating jobs.
He's not good.
And of course, it doesn't do you much good if you have a higher minimum wage and you don't have a job, then you have a zero wage.
Lieutenant Governor Barnes.
Thank you so much. Now, the senator threw out a figure with a nest egg and inflation. Let's just say it was right. Now, the reality is people have been making $7.25 since 2009. That's the last time the federal minimum wage went up. Wisconsin still has a $7.25 minimum wage. I've long been a proponent of a $15 minimum wage. Since 2014, when the advocates and hard-working people started calling for it, we should absolutely be at a $15 minimum wage. People are working harder than they've ever worked before, but they're not making the money they used to. Now, if Senator Johnson's serious about addressing inflation, we have to make sure that people can actually keep up with their bills. There's no reason that people who work full-time should struggle to pay the bills, but that is the reality right now, and it will continue to be the reality if we have people in office who are only going to prioritize the richest people in this country and leave hard-working people behind.
All right, let's go to the next question to Monse Ricosa of Telemundo.
I'm going to ask a series of questions on abortion. Let's start with the most general one. Here in Wisconsin, since the overturning of Roe v. Wade, we are governed by an 1849 law that bans all abortions except in the life of a mother. Polls say over 60%
I saw a McDonald's down the street for $19 an hour.
Oppose the overturning of Roe. Lieutenant Governor Barnes, you have said you disagree with overturning Roe v. Wade. Senator Johnson, one of your ideas is to allow citizens to vote at a state level, but just this week, the Wisconsin legislature gavelled in and gavelled out, rejecting the opportunity to allow such votes. So let's talk specifically about what you would do at the national level regarding abortion. Lieutenant Governor Barnes, you have 1 minute.
Thank you so much. Well, I'm an only child, but I'm not my mother's only pregnancy. Before I was born, my mother had a complicated pregnancy, and she had an abortion. She shared her story because she wanted others to know that they aren't alone and that it was her decision to make, not some politicians. And every woman should be able to make that decision. And doctors shouldn't have to live under the threat of being criminalized for helping women through their most difficult decisions. Now, the senator
100%.
called the overturning of Roe versus Wade a victory. He celebrated the Dobbs decision. And he said that if women don't like the laws of their state, like the 1849 criminal abortion ban we have here, he said they can move. I can't think of a more callous, out of touch, or extreme position to take. If I were in the U.S. Senate, I would absolutely vote to codify Roe versus Wade to protect the right to an abortion and the right to choose into law once and for all to protect women's rights.
Thank you. Senator Johnson.
Well, as Justice Alito said, this is a profound moral issue. And it shouldn't be decided by 9 justices, not 535 members of Congress, and quite honestly, not even 132 members of the Wisconsin State Legislature. What we should do, and by the way, the most extreme position here would be no limits on abortion whatsoever, allowing an abortion right up to the moment of birth, which is what the Lieutenant Governor supports. So what I've recommended is let we, the people, decide with a one-time, single-issue referendum that asks the decision that we need to come to a decision on, which is at what point does society have the responsibility to protect life in the womb? We all agree that society has responsibility to protect life, but at what point does society have the responsibility to protect life in the womb? I want we, the people, to decide that. I would have one vote like every other Wisconsin citizen.
Your follow-up?
Let's get into some specifics regarding how the
entertain on
overturning
peers?
of Roe
Yeah,
impacts
that'd be
other
awesome.
areas of reproductive health. Some women have concerns with a Senate composed of
There's your
three-quarters
wrench.
men making
He
these
needs
decisions
time.
for them. What are your thoughts on when life begins, specifically as it
all
relates
about
to
freedom of
birth
speech in my
control,
chat.
the morning after pill, and additional embryos created through IVF or in vitro fertilization? Senator Johnson, you have 1 minute.
Well, I've laid out all these answers to these questions on wisfacts.com, so you can refer to that.
Wisfacts.
But I obviously support birth control. I support in vitro fertilization. My daughter had 2 children through gestational surrogacy, so I support all those things. I would never ever consider charging a woman who had an unplanned pregnancy. But I lay it all out there on wisfacts.com.
I want
I've
a
been very
screwdriver.
transparent about this.
Get
This
done.
has been a divisive issue for 50 years.
Yeah,
Because
I know, Brendan.
non-justices
I
made
haven't
decisions
watched it
for
yet.
all of us, and it didn't solve the problem. So the best
that the
thing,
palate
that's why I
cleanser?
support overturning Roe v. Wade, is to turn it back to the states where we, the people, can make that decision. And again,
Of a
the
wet mouth.
question that has to be answered is, at what point does society have the responsibility to protect life? It's just that simple. And I've actually
Whippersnappers.
laid out a sample referendum ballot, and you can also find that at wisfacts.com.
Lieutenant Governor Barnes?
Well, the senator knows very well that the referendum won't happen with the legislature we have now. This is him trying to run away from his dangerous, out of touch, and extreme position. And when you take a position like that, there's so much that you don't always see. Let's talk about Texas as an example. There's a woman who had to be hooked up to a breathing machine because she had complications with her pregnancy and could not get an abortion. A 10-year-old girl in Ohio was raped and had to cross state lines to get an abortion. That's Ron Johnson's America. And 70% of the people think Roe versus Wade should be the law of the land here. Now, when we talk about children and unplanned pregnancies, Senator Johnson once went so far as to say it's not his responsibility to take care of our children in this country. Won't even support the child tax credit. Now, people are dealing with some very tough circumstances, but the senator would rather make a political point than to do the right thing to protect families and to protect the health of women.
Thank you. Let's now move on to
You're right.
AJ
The bar
Bryant.
extremism is way too low.
We are here, of
These are
course, in the
dangerous
city of
ideas.
Milwaukee, which is on pace for a 3rd consecutive year to set a record number of homicides in a single year. Now, the city of Milwaukee currently gives more money to its police department than any other city agency. What is the role of Congress in addressing such violent surges in American cities?
100%, Brendan.
If such a role should exist? For each of you, what are 3 specific actions Congress should take, if any, to address violence? Lieutenant Governor Barnes, you go first. You'll each have 1 minute.
Thank you so much. I can't speak for anybody else, but I know the pain of losing a loved one to gun violence. Have experienced that actually more times than I care to count. Lost my first friend in high school and several others after.
Right.
Now, I know it doesn't have to be
That's
this way
Friday.
because it wasn't always this way. When my granddad moved to Milwaukee
Saudi
after
Arabia.
World War II, he got a job as a union steel worker in a safe city.
Why do they all
But
have
when
union
factories
jobs?
started to
My
close
dad
their
was a union
doors,
job
we
steel
saw a
worker.
decline in opportunity, but unfortunately, we also saw a rise in crime and in violence. Now, what we need to do is make sure that communities have the resources they need to prevent crime from happening in the first place. That means fully funding our schools.
Leave my
It also
property
means
alone.
making sure that there are
I wish that
good-paying
was
jobs in
the way.
communities. And we also invested $100 million in the law enforcement, public safety, and crime prevention initiatives through the American Rescue
Queen,
Plan,
you drinking?
which Senator Johnson voted against because another instance where he decided to play politics instead of putting the safety of the people of Wisconsin first.
Senator Johnson.
The first thing you do is you support law enforcement. And unfortunately, the lieutenant governor has not done that. He has a record of wanting to defund the police. Now, I know he doesn't necessarily say that word, but he has a long history of being supported by people that are leading the effort to defund. He uses code words like Cori Bush said. Talk about reallocate.
What's you drinking,
Overbloated
Queen?
police
Sorry,
budgets.
Papa.
He says it pains him to see fully funded police budgets. So
And you're out of
that's
the
his
union.
views. Whenever I
You're
see
welcome.
a police officer, I go up to him and I say, "Thank you for your service." And if I have time,
Who do I think
say,
is winning
please
the
don't
debate?
be dispirited by the loud few.
I'm not
who are
sure,
trying to
to
defund
be
you.
honest. I don't feel like
By
there's
the way,
one
they
clear
are being
victor right now.
dispirited. Because of that defund the police effort, it is very difficult to recruit. We are 1,000 officers below where we were in Wisconsin just from 2008. And people are having a very difficult time. Sheriffs are having a very difficult time
Modelo.
recruiting new
Nice.
officers. Where they may have had 100 recruits, they might have a dozen. So again, all this defund the police effort is having
We're
a
out of
very
time.
harmful impact
Thank you. You've gone
on
over your
law,
time, Senator.
law enforcement.
Thank you. We'll now go on to Mark Leland.
Thank you. We're going to talk more on gun legislation. Following the mass shootings this year and with assault-style weapons in both Uvalde and Buffalo, the bipartisan gun safety law was passed this summer. But polls show Americans want Congress to do more.
No.
To that end, what restrictions, if any, would you put on the sale of military-style assault weapons? And when it comes to mandatory background checks to buy a firearm, do you agree with overwhelming bipartisan public support of that plan? We'll start with Senator Johnson. You have 1 minute.
Well, first of all, you have to understand we have something like 10,000 gun control laws on the books throughout America. If gun control were the solution, it would have already been solved. It's not the solution. If we want to cut down on crime, the overall macro issue is we need to renew faith, strengthen families, have more supportive communities.
Get 'em, Queen.
Another gun control law just isn't going to work. But as long as we have them, I would suggest maybe enforcing them. There was something like 112,000 failed background checks in the year 2017. There were 12 prosecutions. So before you pass any new gun control laws, why don't you try enforcing the ones on the books? And then why don't we take a look at what's happening within our society that is causing all of this violence?
Lieutenant Governor?
Thank you so much. And as I mentioned before, I have dealt with this too much. And that's why I've spent my entire career working to make communities safer. Now, an overwhelming majority of people in the state, as you mentioned, support background checks.
Is this guy a news
People
broadcaster?
don't think that domestic abusers should be able to get a handgun. And neither do I. And unfortunately, Senator Johnson doesn't agree. The ATF doesn't even have searchable databases right now because of the laws on the books. And the senator on the last question did mention, police officers. Now, with that being said, I'm sure he didn't have the same interaction with the 140 officers that were injured during the January 6th insurrection.
It's all up, Brendan.
One officer was stabbed with a metal stake. Another crushed between a revolving door, another hit in the head with a fire extinguisher. So when we talk about respect for law enforcement, let's talk about the 140 officers that he left behind because of an insurrection that he supported. Now, with that being said, there's so much more we need to do to keep guns out of the hand of violent criminals.
Worst insurrection of all time.
Lieutenant Governor, just once again, for specifics, the questions were about background checks.
Oh, I absolutely support background checks.
They're already a thing.
Legislator supported now as lieutenant governor, and
cool. They're already a thing.
Who support background checks? We need senators who are bought and paid for by the gun lobby. Senator Johnson received $1.2 million from the gun lobby. That's why he can't be trusted. That's why he's going to make up every excuse about why we can't do anything. He was elected to do a job. This is what he's supposed to do: help keep us safe. But he refuses to.
Papa knows he's our gun store guy.
Thank you.
Then NCIS background check requires.
Now we're going to take another question. This one is from Kim Murphy.
Second Amendment stays away.
Can't be with us tonight because of COVID protocols, but it's going to be asked on her behalf by Dale Ryman.
Thank you, Joe. I want to talk about the Electoral College reform. After the January 6th assault on the Capitol, the effort to present a false slate of electors from 7 states, including Wisconsin, a bipartisan group of 32 senators has proposed the Electoral Count Reform Act. The key provisions include identifying a single conclusive slate of electors, affirming the role of the vice president, raising the objection threshold, and protecting each state's popular vote. Lieutenant Governor, we will go to you first for 1 minute. Do you support this bill?
Well, we all saw what happened.
Oh, here we go. Here's an emotional plea.
We saw every conspiracy theory peddled. We saw the senator attempt to send fake electors to the vice president, saying his involvement lasted a matter of seconds. That matter of seconds ended up with a whole day assault on the Capitol. They threatened to hang the vice president.
No, they didn't. Shut up.
As much as we can to protect our democracy. The very first plan my campaign put out was a democracy and accountability agenda. Now, the senator doesn't seem like a democracy because it has not been working out for him. But the reality is, if we modernize our electoral count system, we can prevent something like this from happening again, and we can restore trust into our electoral process. People don't trust the process because we have folks elected to high office who will spend their time trying to overturn an election, trying to cast doubt into a free and fair election, which election observers said was the most secure in our lifetime.
I don't know who built the gallows.
Senator Johnson?
I would support that piece of legislation. I do want to remind everybody that when I got back to my office on January 6th, because I was not impacted by what was happening at the Capitol, I didn't know what was happening until I turned on the TV, I immediately and forcefully and have repeatedly condemned it and condemned it strongly. But I've also condemned the 570 riots that occurred during the summer. So many people ignore those. The Lieutenant Governor has made excuses for those rioters, say, well, what do you expect? They're frustrated. If you want to talk about rioting, we should take a look at what happened in Kenosha. The day after the first night of rioting, when the used car lot was set on fire, instead of trying to calm things down, the Lieutenant Governor gave a press conference and he said it felt like a vendetta was carried out against one of our community members. He incited the riot. He and the governor didn't provide the manpower to stop the riots. So if you're going to focus on a riot, why don't we focus on 570 riots, 2,000 police officers injured.
Your time is up. Dale, you have a follow-up.
Yes.
Oh, why would he stop? You don't
Last
stop.
month, I had a
just keep
chance to
going.
interview former Vice President Mike Pence when he was visiting Wausau. When referring to his actions on January 6th, when he resisted pressure from former President Trump to overturn the election,
Getting all those
and
confused
refused
grandmas.
to accept the slates of fake state electors, including some that were offered to him by Senator Johnson's office. He said he acted out of respect for the U.S. Constitution. We'd like for you both to go on the record. Did the former vice president do the right thing? Senator Johnson, you can go first. You have 1 minute.
First of all, let me clear things up here. I had no idea when I got a call from the lawyer from the President of the United States to deliver something to the Vice President. Did I have a staff member that could help out with that? I had no idea what it was.
Exactly, Papa.
And the fact of the matter was nothing was delivered.
Russian
the whole episode
collusion
took
hoax.
less than
good
an
call.
hour, but I wasn't even involved. So again, I had no knowledge of an alternate slate of electors. I voted to confirm, not to disallow any of President Biden's electors. So from my standpoint, this is a non-issue, but I know it's being blown up because everyone wants to focus on January 6th when we also ought to be looking at the violence that occurred in 570 riots. Again, 2,000 law enforcement officers injured in those riots. A couple dozen people lost their lives.
You're trying to get me arrested, Brendan?
Kenosha, because the lieutenant governor and the governor Evers didn't provide the type of manpower to quell those riots. About $1 to $2 billion worth of property damage. Why don't we focus a little bit on 570 riots as well?
Senator Johnson, your time is up. But again, the question was, did Mike Pence do the right thing on January 6th?
Yes.
You just said it.
Biden
Is this woman not listening?
President of the United States.
She's not even listening.
I will say that to push back, the Republican sheriff of Kenosha said that the governor answered every call and gave all the resources that they requested. So let's clear that up. And he may not have noticed that an insurrection was happening because he called those people patriots.
Great question,
he called them
Papa.
tourists. These are the folks that he supported. This is an act that he supported. And you can make
Cords and
whatever
Rumble says
comparisons
people
you
don't
want
trust
to,
the EC
but the
because
reality
they
is
don't
this was an
teach it.
attempted overthrow of the government. By
That's true,
trying to
Cords. They don't
overturn a
teach
free and
electoral
fair
college in
election.
school.
So the
Good
answer
call.
is yes. The vice president did do the right thing.
All right, let's go to the next question, and that goes to Brad Williams.
We'll turn to the issue of safe water. From Racine to Wausau to Rhinelander, people are concerned about the safety of their drinking water because the water contains excessive levels of man-made and industrial chemicals called PFAS, which have been linked to illnesses and conditions including cancer and infertility. For example, hundreds of families on French Island in the La Crosse area have been supplied with bottled water for the past year because of high levels of PFAS in their well water. The cost of supplying clean water has been shifted to families and local governments. What should Congress do to provide financial relief to towns and families affected by this pollution? This question first goes to Lieutenant Governor Barnes. You have 1 minute.
Well, thank you so much. Clean water, safe drinking water, it's an issue in so many parts of the state, and it's one of the unfortunate realities that actually brings people together. This is something we should all come to expect in the most civilized, the most wealthy nation on the entire planet.
Right, Papa,
but
exactly.
It's not the reality.
Imagine if that was actually
a state.
a
You got
real
Lake Michigan
insurrection.
to the east, Superior to the north, the Mississippi River to the west. And I have spent my time in the office of Lieutenant Governor working
I find
on
it
clean
interesting
water
that they
issues. In fact,
always
2019,
make
the governor
Ron
declared
Johnson
it the year of clean drinking water.
She always tries to pretend like he doesn't answer the question.
We need help and support from the federal government. We should also talk about lead lateral lines in cities across Wisconsin as well, which the bipartisan infrastructure law went to go fund. Now, this is another instance that that the senator voted against the interests of people. He voted against our health and safety, whether it's PFAS contamination or lead contamination.
Lieutenant Governor, once again, more specifically, what, if anything, do you think needs to be done at the federal level?
My apologies. We do have a responsibility. The federal government absolutely has a responsibility to fund the initiatives that would make sure that every community has access to clean and safe drinking water. And also, we have a responsibility to make sure that polluters
Ron
are
Johnson
held
is
accountable.
against clean drinking water.
Well, I suggest that the EPA, rather than focus on CO2, focus on these pollutants that really are harmful. And for example, rather than spend $369 billion, which is what is going to be spent or allocated based on the Inflation Reduction Act, which is a very Orwellian named bill because it won't reduce inflation, it'll probably further enhance it.
Exactly,
we ought to
Ron.
take that $369 billion, a portion of that, and we can allocate that toward addressing real pollution, which is what PFAS
For real,
is.
for real, are you talking about Biden?
All right, let's go to the next question, and that will go to Monse Ricosa.
I'd like
People
to talk
forget
about
that
the
quote all the
Respect for
time.
Marriage Act. When Roe v. Wade was overturned, Justice Clarence Thomas referred to other decisions, which would include gay marriage and interracial marriage.
Chrono,
as
you are funny.
potentially
Don't listen to
overturned
yourself.
or had the potential to be overturned. In response to that, Senator Baldwin and Collins have proposed bipartisan legislation called the Respect for Marriage Act, which makes it the law of the land and protects it from being overturned. How would you vote, Senator Johnson?
So first of all, I've always supported civil unions. When the Supreme Court ruled a different way and ruled for gay marriage, I thought, okay, there's an issue. It's been settled. Let's move on. We have a lot of other problems we have to deal with. That Supreme Court decision will never be overturned. This is another scare tactic by the left. I know Justice Thomas kind of opened up the door, but this is where stare decisis is very powerful. Where you're not going to
How many times have you been married, Papa?
millions
I went
of
from
lives.
3
I
to
don't want
6.
millions of lives disrupted. But there's another element to this thing. If you, certainly the way the law is written right now, it threatens religious
No
liberty.
salute emoji?
So before I would ever consider voting for that bill, I would want to see very strong protections for religious liberty. We've seen what happened after the Obergefell decision. You had people starting to sue, for example, bakers. Won in the Supreme Court, but they're right back after harassing that guy again. So I would need very strong religious liberty protections.
Thank you, Senator.
The government shouldn't be involved in my
We're talking about
marriage.
Civil right. We're talking about the right for a person to
Period.
marry who they love. Normally, this would be a no-brainer. This is something I've supported as a member of the legislature, and it's something I would be proud to support as a member of the United States Senate. Now, he said that the Supreme Court decision won't be overturned. A lot of people thought that Roe wouldn't be overturned, but look at us now.
Oh,
We're
my
in a position
God.
where we are losing rights. People are having fewer rights than they had 50 years ago. That's exactly what's on the line with this election.
That's probably true, actually, with all the gun
fight for our fundamental freedom.
Second right
to be able to marry who
amendment
you
stuff.
love, again, that should be a no-brainer.
And
it's
it
a
was
shame that we're
giving
in
me-
this place right now having this
me
same
giving a
old
guy
retirement
fire.
argument. But here we are. We need people who are going to fight
Not the
to make
baker in
sure
Colorado.
you love who you love and also make your own healthcare decisions without interference from politicians.
Okay, our next question once again is coming from Kim Murphy, but it's going to be
Freaking Kim.
addressed by Mark Leland.
Thank you.
I
Kim's
feel like I've
question
seen this
is
same
on
picture like 10
climate
times.
change.
Maybe I'm
The
alone.
death toll from Hurricane Ian is at
Climate
least
change.
120
Climate change.
people now. The
Oh,
storm made
God.
landfall as a devastating
These
Category
questions.
4. Scientists say the
Climate
historic
change,
storm
Roe
was
v.
fueled
Wade,
by
abortion.
warm waters, and those warmer
Nothing on
waters are a direct
inflation.
effect on climate change.
Nothing on making
what
your
would be
life
three
better.
specific solutions you believe in for addressing climate change? Lieutenant Governor Barnes, we'll begin with you. You have 1 minute.
Well, the climate crisis is already here. It's impacting places all over the country, all over the globe. Wisconsin
lying dog-faced
specifically.
pony soldier.
I've had a chance to visit our family farmers who have had to deal with the impacts of devastation from these 100, 500-year storms that are happening more regularly. Flooding events, historic flooding events that are wiping out rural infrastructure. And also the impact on cities with urban heat islands. Now, the senator just a couple questions ago, said that CO2 is not harmful. He's gone so far as to call climate change BS. These are people's lives we're talking about. This is our future that we're talking about. What we need to do is reduce carbon emissions. What we also need to do is move towards a clean energy economy and make sure Wisconsin is in the driver's seat. 80% of the world's solar panels built in China. We could be building those right here in Wisconsin, charting the path to a clean energy future. And we also can make sure that our family farmers have the support that they need with regenerative agriculture so that the industry can continue to thrive.
Thank you. Senator's turn.
I polluted the
climate
internet too.
Has always changed, always will change, so I don't deny climate change. The question is, can you really do anything about it? When China, when India, they're going to be burning fossil fuels, America's going to have
Climate change!
80% of our energy comes from fossil fuels right now, and that's not going to change anytime soon because wind and solar are not reliable. They make our grid very unreliable. The reason you're paying now more than $4 a gallon at the pump is because of the Democrats' war on fossil fuels. Again, it's this green energy in terms of converting over to electric vehicles. We don't have the rare earth minerals. We can't build the batteries. One of the things we're seeing down in Florida is those electric vehicles are starting on fire. They're exploding. So there are a lot of problems here. So we have to focus on how we use fossil fuels responsibly. We simply can't be
look at Trump go, boy. Look at him go.
Hundreds of dollars trying to solve a problem that's not solvable.
Green
Thank
scam.
you. You have both been so efficient in your responses that we've been able to continue with 1-minute answers for you.
Congratulations.
So we'll continue on that path for a while without
to see
cutting
fully
to
funded.
So with that, let us go to A.J. Bayatpour.
The White House's student loan.
Wait, let me just pause this for a second. So PBS is like so far
Reaction
behind.
to that interchange?
Yeah.
Oh, they're doing the behind the scenes. Okay.
Debt forgiveness plan is widely supported
people
by
screwed me on
young
time.
Americans. However,
Yeah, whatever
many
his
other
plans
voters
means,
believe it is
Electric
unfair.
vehicles are mostly
Do you
safe.
think
It's
it is
impacting
fair
the grid
or not
investments. Yeah,
to forgive up to $20,000 in student loan debt? You each have 1 minute. Senator Johnson,
These are
you'll
all
go first.
like
I think
the
it's
liberal
grossly unfair.
questions.
And I think people who never went to college or people that scrimped and saved and sacrificed and paid off their student loan are not particularly happy that a group of people who voluntarily entered into a loan agreement now get that. It's really not forgiven. It's just transferred onto the back of other Americans.
Thank you.
By the way, ever since the federal government took over the student loan program, those student loans have exploded, as has the cost of college. Since the 1960s,
we can't talk about seriously of
keeping
like green
track of this, the
energy
cost of
and
college has
pollution
increased
if
at
we don't hold
2.7 times the rate of
if
inflation,
other countries aren't going to do it.
Largely because we're throwing so much money into it. I mean, what is so different about what colleges and universities spend their money on than the rest of society? What's different is the federal government has fueled that rise in college costs. So we ought to focus on that. But no, this is grotesquely unfair for people who never went to college or paid off their student loans.
Lieutenant Governor.
Thank you so much. I actually got a family member, Dennis. Hope he doesn't mind me using his name, but he didn't see college as at four-year college as his path in life. He went to the trades. He became an electrician. He's making a great living right now, and it's important for us to think about the other paths people choose in life. Now, the deeper problem is that college is absolutely
expensive.
Unaffordable. Costs continue to rise.
Thank
we
you.
can go back to one of the older questions about the minimum wage.
They are
Costs
avoiding
continue to rise,
inflation.
especially with college.
100%.
We're talking about people
Revert
who
Ryan, what's
make
up?
minimum
Feelings over
wage
facts,
in many
always.
cases to support their time, support themselves during their time in college. So of course,
Nobody cares
we
about your
should
family.
forgive
Nope.
some student loan debt, but we also need to make it easier for people in vocational education, also people in technical education, so that they can have the opportunity to get ahead and we can actually rebuild the middle class. Now, Senator Johnson's been against every form of government support for students in college. If you have a federal student loan debt right now, Senator Johnson did not want you to have it.
So just specifically, the question was about, was it fair?
People are being saddled with student loan debt, burdened with student loan
Bob,
debt,
exactly.
cannot fully participate in the economy. My generation is the first that's slated to be worse off than the generation before us. That is a travesty. It is a shame that many people in my generation have fewer opportunities than my granddad had after he came back from World War II. So absolutely it's fair that people get some student loan relief.
All right, we go to Mark Leland.
One of the White House's stated reasons for adopting student loan forgiveness is it would narrow the racial wealth gap. Just yesterday, a federal judge in Green Bay dismissed a lawsuit brought by the Wisconsin Institute for Law and Liberty. The lawsuit argued the White House plan had an improper racial motive. The group plans to appeal. At the federal level, whether it's with...
I will say, though, like, watching this, Ron Johnson has come off as more authentic in his answers. And the other guy, who I don't even know, probably shows you how biased I am. He seems like he's reading from a script. I feel like when you create these shows like I do, you start to hear the same talking points over and over again. And he just sounds like every other news anchor on MSNBC. It's so boring.
Student loans or anything else, what, if anything, should Congress do
Everything
to
is
address
racism.
the racial wealth gap? Lieutenant Governor Barnes, we'll begin with you. You have 1 minute.
Well, absolutely. And as I mentioned earlier,
the racial wealth gap.
granddad moved here after World War II. He got a job as a union steel worker. And that's the story of a whole lot of black men in the city of Milwaukee. And again, when those opportunities dried up, there was nothing really that came in to fill the void. And we saw, again, those rises in crime, which also led to rises in incarceration, so many other devastating results because of deindustrialization, because of offshoring, a practice that has been supported and championed by Senator Johnson. He says offshoring makes sense.
Exactly.
Ignoring
Right.
the toll that it has taken on communities like right here in the city of Milwaukee. We need to do more to make sure that there are good paying jobs in communities. We need to do more to make sure that our low income schools are fully funded. We need to do more to make sure that every single person in this
Brendan's
country
more
has
for the
healthcare.
WNBA.
That's what helps us close these gaps we've been experiencing along racial lines.
All right, I am told by the official timekeepers that we can now move to 30-second questions.
Senator Johnson has a minute. Senator Johnson, you
my
have a minute.
apologies.
I think you're aware of my JILSA project. That is where I've teamed up with the church
She wasn't gonna let him
in
talk.
the inner city of Milwaukee. And in 4 days of training, we instill the requirement, the need for a good attitude and committing to success. And this is with formerly incarcerated drug and alcohol abusers, and we get them real career type of jobs. We transform their lives. Hundreds, thousands of people have been positively impacted by that. That's how you do it. You don't do it by spending trillions of dollars of money that we don't have, sparking 40-year high inflation. Again, that has taken a dollar that you had at the start of the Biden administration, turned that into 88.3 cents. That helps no one. It certainly doesn't help the black community.
You have more time on your minute if you would like to
the
go on.
other thing we shouldn't be doing is letting loose 87,000 IRS agents on middle-class families, because that's what's going to happen. Lieutenant Governor Barnes supports that.
Right, we will now move to our 30-second questions, and my
Yeah, he
apologies
is.
for stepping on your response there. All right, we now go
No,
to...
you're not apologizing. It's on
let's
purpose.
see. Mark Leland. No, I'm sorry, it's Brad Williams.
Turning to the Supreme Court, following recent rulings, surveys
guy.
have shown public confidence in the U.S. Supreme Court is at its lowest level in years. Critics of the court have suggested changes, such as replacing lifetime appointments with term limits or expanding the court beyond 9
Oh my
justices.
God, these
They
questions.
have also proposed more strict ethical oversight of the High Court because of conflicts of interest.
Bro,
Would you support
expanding the
any
court.
or all of these ideas for
Path to
court reform,
citizenship.
and why? We start with Senator
It's
Johnson.
just
You have
so
30
much.
seconds.
It's all the
reason
same.
people are complaining is because they're leftists themselves.
Yes.
They're biased media. They don't like it when you have a Supreme Court that has conservative justices that actually just apply the law.
I'm drinking
rather
Richard
than try and
sparkling
alter it.
rainwater.
So I'm utterly opposed to judicial activists, and that's
Should I be
of course
drinking
what
something
the liberal
better?
press likes, is an activist court. And so when you finally have gotten conservative justices, and by the way, I vote for conservative justice knowing full well that I'm not going to like some of their decisions because they're going to apply the law,
Your time is
not
up.
alter it.
Lieutenant Governor.
Bingo. Here we
I
go.
mentioned the first plan from this campaign was the democracy and accountability agenda. One of the most important provisions in that plan was to impose ethics standards on the Supreme Court. Our justices should
ethics
abide by
standards,
the same exact sets of standards that every other court in the country has to abide by. And I also support term limits for U.S. Supreme Court justices. These shouldn't be lifetime appointments.
All right, let's now go
Fancy.
to
You know it,
AJ
girl.
Bideport.
There was a new development this week potentially involving gas prices.
This guy.
Despite President Biden's attempt
He's a good
to
little naughty
persuade
soldier.
OPEC to do otherwise, the group of oil exporting countries decided this week it will cut oil production, a move that will most likely cause gas prices to rise.
Come on,
How
good
should
question.
Congress respond? Again, you each have 30 seconds for this.
We
Lieutenant
got to
Governor,
invest
you'll
more
go
in
first.
green energy so we're
Well, the
not held
problem is our
accountable.
reliance on fossil fuels in the first
Boom.
place.
God, I could
We
do
need to
his
be more
own speech
energy
for him.
independent. we need to do more to generate renewable energy in this country, specifically right here in Wisconsin. Now, the senator's going to say that the path forward is fossil fuels. He's going to make up every excuse for the fossil fuel industry. We need to hold them accountable for using inflation as a smokescreen to jack up prices on the American people. And
Ron Johnson better school
hundreds of thousands of dollars in campaign support from the fossil fuel industry, and that's why he's going to put their interests before your pocketbook.
No, it's not wrong. Come on.
If you want to have lower gas prices, you need to be energy independent.
Bingo.
We were energy independent under the last administration. If you're concerned about climate change, you should be supporting nuclear power. But most environmentalists oppose nuclear power.
Thank you,
so there's a solution here. It's just environmentalists like Lieutenant Governor Barnes won't embrace the real solution.
All right, we have one more question. Let's go to Dale Ryman.
Snapper, you better get them.
It's being said broadband is not a luxury. It's a necessity for everyday living.
Forgot Trump is still dancing.
The pandemic really showed us how important broadband is, in particular with online learning and telehealth. Wisconsin ranks 33rd in the country in Broadband Now's annual rankings of internet coverage, speed, and availability. How will you advocate for Wisconsinites on Capitol Hill to continue to close that digital divide? Senator
Don't forget
Johnson,
to charge
we'll
it with your coal energy.
I have a pretty strong record here. I've supported the Connect America Fund, and that allocated hundreds of millions of dollars here. Also, to get proper mapping of broadband, and that resulted in about $10 billion over 10 years of federal funding to expand broadband here in Wisconsin. So I'm completely aware of the crucial need for broadband, and I've supported it, and I've gotten federal funding for Wisconsin.
Are you for high-speed internet?
And specifically toward the future? We'll continue to do that?
No, thanks.
Yeah, precisely.
No, I don't like high-speed internet.
Well, I'm proud to say that our administration has invested historic sums of money into broadband expansion. A number of broadband roundtables across the state, and we all hear the heartbreaking stories of students having to go to a fast food restaurant parking lot just to get connected during the pandemic. I've heard stories of people outside of Wausau who had to actually go to a funeral home because that's who had the best Wi-Fi. Now, one of the best opportunities to expand broadband in this state has been the bipartisan infrastructure bill. Another bipartisan piece of legislation that Senator Johnson voted against because he wanted to put politics first.
Man, I can't take it.
And we are at our last question, which we promised you would give you a chance to perhaps clear up some misconceptions.
Gentlemen, so during this debate or in campaign ads, you have heard things said about you that you believe are just plain wrong. In this last question, we want to give you the floor to set things straight. What's been said about you that you really want to knock down? Senator Johnson, you can go first, and you have 1 minute.
Well, I'm very proud of my record as your U.S. Senator. One of the more grotesque distortions, in addition to the fact that I actually want to save Social Security, is the fact that I got a tax cut only for myself and a couple supporters. No, it's because of me. 95% of American businesses got a tax cut so they can compete with the big guys and survive the pandemic. That was 20 million tax filers. So I'm proud of my record in terms of tax reform. Again, allowing people to compete with the big C Corps as well as survive the pandemic. But my right to try legislation, that is saving people's lives. My Joseph Project is transforming lives. And my background, my experience, 40 years of working in the private sector, I'm not sure what the Lieutenant Governor has ever done in terms of a job in the private sector. I know his mom's a teacher, his dad worked third shift. I also work third shift. So I know exactly what it's like to work in a factory. I know what it's like to work shift work. I know what it's like to create jobs because I've created them. I don't believe he has.
Thank you, Senator.
Lieutenant Governor.
Oh, yeah, Biden getting arrested.
Embrace one of the characterizations in one of the ads that they put out, either Senator Johnson or one of his allies. It ends by saying Mandela Barnes, different. I embrace that because we don't have enough working class people in the United States Senate. The Senate is broken. Senator Johnson is one of the worst parts of a broken system, a person who has been in it for himself and his wealthy donor. Sure, if you're a multimillionaire,
Biden is Puerto Rican.
He'll look out for you. If you're a working class person, it might not be so easy. That's the unfortunate reality. People are continuing to be left behind, and that's exactly why I'm running right now. Our lives,
the funeral home internet connection is so much
at this very moment. Our seniors
all lives
have
matter.
To live
Get
with
off
the
my
threat
stream.
of Social Security and Medicare being cut. Working people have to live under the threat of their jobs being shipped overseas. Women have to live with the threat of their most personal decisions being interrupted by politicians. That's what's on the line right now. But I believe better is possible. I believe hard work can pay off, and we can give everyone
Brendan,
a
you
fair
about
shot
to
at
do
the
the whole
American
gamut.
dream.
You better
We'd like to
have
thank
all the
both
races
of you.
in there.
And we'd also like to thank the teams that have helped us tonight. So we're going to thank AJ Bayatpour, Mark Leland, Kim Murphy, who we wish could have been with us, Monse Ricosa, Dale Ryman,
Derek O'Shea.
Brad Williams, and our data team who's been working behind the scenes to give you information so you can read more about it on the WBA's debate website and our social media accounts.
my private
To
thing.
find those, obviously, you can
One human
look them
race.
up,
There
use
you
the
go.
hashtag WBA debate. And that data team, by the way, is Emily Davies, Scotty Lee Myers, and Michelle Bike, and all of their stations that have contributed
We
their
did it.
time to this effort. We'd also
Watch
like
this
to thank
friggin' trash,
Wisconsin
dude.
Public Broadcasting here in Milwaukee for hosting us. And now, let us go to WBA President and CEO, Michelle Vetterkind.
Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you for joining us for tonight's debate, an opportunity
Oh
for
my
Wisconsin
God,
citizens
cute
to hear from the
Chaka.
leading U.S. Senate candidates. This debate has been sponsored by our WBA Foundation through a
Wait,
grant from the
it's that-
Wisconsin Association of
What is PBS talking about?
And while he doesn't outright say the 2020 election was stolen, he does campaign.
You know, this was all a farce. Who do you guys feel like won besides me? I won. I won the debate. 2 years in, Joe B has screwed up the countryside. Dude, imagine how much more how much worse it'll get if Democrats win Congress and Senate. I mean, I just can't imagine in America under that. That's just ridiculous. Oh, we got more Tucker Carlson and Jesus. I knew they were going to get more. The jacket screams, please, please stay. I'm cool. Over Ron Johnson, but I'm racist. I was like, wait, how do you say that word? You are racist. Humans are the same as canines, lots of breeds, and mostly months. Yeah, it's true. It will be all over. I hope not. I don't want to be like sensationalist. I don't want to just say like it'll be the end of. The fact that Joe Biden right now is walking around talking about Armageddon essentially to his supporters, it's just insane. What are we doing? I mean, the fact that like it seems like these people don't want to de-escalate anytime soon. They just want constant escalation in Ukraine. It's the freaking most insane thing ever. I just saw Adam Kinzinger today put out like a tweet like condemning Elon Musk and saying we should like investigate him because Starlink has been down, who he has been providing for free for the Ukrainians, or like 90% of the cost he's been fronting. Adam Kinzinger was like calling for him to like be investigated or some crap. It's just these people are nuts, man. These people are freaking nuts. I don't know if you guys are interested in this. This just came out like an hour ago. I thought this interview was interesting. The comparisons are endless. Yeah. Starlink is bullshit. I know people that use Starlink and they're not too impressed by it. So, but you know, if you're not in the middle of nowhere, there's no reason to get Starlink. If you're in the middle of nowhere, you get Starlink because other satellite internet is just trash. The interview is awesome, pure insanity. Okay. I'm curious to this. This just came out. I'm curious what he's talking about working with Barack Obama.
Among many other things, West gave us his assessment of Barack Obama, whom he knows well and has known well for many years, even before he became president. Here's what he said. Do you talk to Obama still?
I was Obama's favorite artist. He actually met with me. Obama met with me and my mama to say that he was running for office back in 2008.
That's awesome, Queen.
And that he wanted the support. And everybody was so into this idea of the black president. And you were always cool. And it's also like, you know, how many of us are there? You know, Obama level, Ye level, you know, Virgil level. just black, you know, so brilliant that we cut through all of the lines of racism. Like, you just can't get rid of us. Nat King Cole level, Dave Chappelle level. So in some place we'd have to be friends and get along, because it's like, yo, you're at that level. You're like a, you know, Formula One Lewis Hamilton race car driver. We're still driving a white car, but we're the best race car drivers that ever existed. And that was me and Obama's connection. But soon as I wasn't saying the things that I was supposed to say as a rapper, our connection faded.
So you don't talk to him anymore?
I'll talk to him if I see him.
Yep.
But I guarantee you he see me. I don't even know the man. I just thought that sounded cool.
What the heck? Oh, Kanye is hilarious and the craziest person, but I love it. I friggin' love it. I don't know if you guys also saw, I saw that SoFi Stadium canceled his performance because of this interview, essentially. That apparently a bunch of workers came in and decided they didn't want to work for him. And so they had to cancel it, which is just nuts. His neck muscles must be steel holding up that inflated ego. I know. I'm basically Lewis Hamilton. I mean, you got to give him crap. The dude has like hit after hit. And not only that, he's got a clothing line. He made Kim what she is. I'm just kidding. It's incredible. Okay, and now this all just came out, so this is not the full interview. This is just the part 2 from last night's part 1. But I thought so. Now he's going to talk about Trump in this one. Corporations have become the mean girls, and oh my God, I know. We wear pink on Tuesdays or Thursdays. What are you doing? The conspiracy theory out there that Kanye will mysteriously die due to well, especially all the stuff he said about Clintons last night. When he was talking about Clintons with Kim Kardashian, I was like, and Jared Kushner, I was like, oh shit. I still only know that Kim as the chick who got... I almost read that out, Chrono. God, man. Come on, that's not... You're just trying to get a reaction out of me. You know her for other reasons. Shut up. I only know her because she dated Pete Davidson. Pastor Greg Locke says Kanye has a broke mentality. I think Kanye is a broken man that is obviously a genius because of, you know, what he's like as an artist. But he's broken. He's way too famous for his own good. And he's trying to develop a true, authentic voice right now. And because of his authentic voice, he is, you know, being canceled, getting rid of, you know, cast aside in society, let go. And I think it's impressive to see somebody actually do that. Like, I want to clap him in doing this. I don't want to, like, condemn him or critique him. I think that's, like, folly and not something wise to do. Because I think it takes huge balls to do this. I mean, most men, most people with like, especially with kids, would never, and with all like this money to lose and stuff, he's got huge cojones. You got to give it to him. I mean, he's going to lose so much money for doing even this stupid Tucker Carlson interview. That's how insane we are. Who's Kim Kardashian? Why should I care? Is a question I've been asking for. Oh my God, same. Nobody has given me a satisfied actor. Well, she's a billionaire. I guess there's something to talk about there in her stupid makeup line that I do wear. Why do you think my foundation looks fantastic? I almost didn't recognize Kanye there, although I'm still pretty buzzed. All right, let's keep going. Now he's talking about Trump in this one. Let's see if this is any good.
It drove me crazy to not be able to say that I like Trump. It drove, because think about it, it's me. Imagine me not being able to say what I wanted. What was the point of being famous? What was the point of having
Exactly,
millions of people love
Gina.
your music? What was the point of having a voice if you can't even use your own voice and connect it to your own opinions?
Preach.
That's where the disconnect happened. That's where the, quote, I think wrongly diagnosed, that's where the bipolarity is. Because you got something you're thinking, but you're told you're not allowed to say it in public. Well, I never actually told people that I liked Trump when he was running because I was bullied by Hollywood. Because I stayed in Hollywood and people were like, think about your kids, and I'm trying to hold on to the marriage, so I'm just biting my tongue.
Good for him, man. I mean, I'm glad that people are willing to speak up. The Gina Carino thing, I mean, seriously, that whole thing was so ridiculous. It was such a minor comment, too. It was like one of those things, it's almost like I feel like they were trying to get rid of her. But at the same time, cowering like that. And Disney has gotten so trash anyways. Especially, I don't know if you've caught up with any of this Marvel series and like She-Hulk and crap like that. It's been absolute trash. Kim got effed on tape and got a show. There's apparently like stories around her mom encouraging her to release that tape as well. I thought Kim Kardashian's dad helped get OJ off, so he's kind of famous. I want a freeze frame of Tucker's face. There's a bit ago. Okay, sorry. I think the same thing happened to Kurt Russell, but he's Kurt Russell, dude. What did it do? Kurt Russell. But what would Brian Boitano do? Alamo Tucker is struggling to understand him. Oh yeah. Have you ever seen like Joe Rogan, his interview podcast with Kanye? I mean, I think he did it for like 3 hours. It is all over the place, but it's amazing. I mean, I think if anything, Kanye West definitely has like ADHD, ADD. And people just, confuse that with like a mental condition, like something to be incarcerated with, or like something that he needs to go get treated. And I just think he just reminds me of like most 13-year-old boys, they're all over the place. That's not true. Kim Kardashian's mom took a lie detector test on a late night comedy show. Oh yeah, I bet that's true. Isn't Chris trans now? How dare you? She is a beautiful woman, Chrono. She dates basketball players. Who do you date? Did you watch some of the trial today? No, I did. I did see him crying. Are you talking about the Waukesha thing? Waukesha. I keep calling it Waukesha. The Waukesha. ADHD conversions are the best conversations. Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are, because you have no idea what's going to happen. And it just reminds me of Kanye. I just think he's like a perfect example of what true ADHD is. And someone that's not medicated. They're just like freeballing it. Bob, I can hear Izzy say once at band camp, which sounds so funny. Yeah. Okay. Now on this video, Kanye West is going to be talking about, again, this just came out like an hour ago. Says he's fighting for his kids' education, claiming his son's school is working on indoctrinating him to make him be a part of the system. Now we're talking. I'm serious. Brucey became Katie. Then Chris said she wanted. Shut up, Chrono. No way. If Chris Kardashian transitions, stop. That guy's a joke. He actually thinks he's going to win his case, dude. He better not. Yeah, that guy is like a terrible human being and deserves everything in the world that will happen to him. I would say that Lizzo's twerking killed a part of my faith in humanity, but that would imply it wasn't murdered a long time ago. Yeah. I think like one of the biggest stories or biggest things that happened in our world that really killed my faith in humanity was the whole Epstein thing and like everything that surrounded Jeffrey Epstein and how it just kind of went away. I think that is what murdered like a lot of my soul in having hope in any kind of system that's going to save us if we vote the right people in. It just made me feel like I was just like, oh crap. It was like a black pill moment of like, is there any hope? Is there going to be any candidate who can challenge the system and bring these people to justice? Or is this going to be like put under the rug? You know what freaked me out about Epstein? Tell me, Papa. Cords on Rumble says Kanye is a good kid, but having difficulties with his family. Exactly. Well, that too. And the fact that like the media went after Kanye about like, you know, sending Kim Kardashian text messages when she was with Pete and stuff like that and calling him like a stalker and stuff. Like, dude, you were married to the guy. You have kids with him. He's going through a lot. Every person that is still in love with the other individual, you can tell it's one-sided. I'm sure the split up is. He's going to react that way. Any logical individual would do that. I'm sorry that he loves you so much. Ridiculous. The Ghislaine Maxwell trail got virtually zero. Oh my God, I know. And you know what did Kyle? I know. I remember when Kyle Rittenhouse was going on at the same time as Ghislaine Maxwell, and it was just like you didn't get. It was so hard to find information. It's like trying to find out how many executive orders Biden has done. Try to look that up. How many executive orders has Biden done? That is one of the hardest things to find an answer for. For me, it was 9/11 when the news said no one jumped after I saw it live on news. Oh, jeez. Then the stories of detention. Ugh, for real. Answer me this. 9/11 was... I was probably too young to... I was just like shocked. More than like understood the implications of it all. Answer me this. Which would you think the public would care more about? A dumbass kid defending himself with a firearm or an international child sex ring? I know. It still dumbfounds me to this day. People that claim to be like empathetic towards children, claim to be like care about children, claim to be care about like, or just feminists in general. You would think feminists would be out the wazoo for Jeffrey Epstein and what he did to young women, and they are silent about it. It's just kind of like the Nord Stream pipeline. I mean, you know, where's the environmentalists? People are telling me it's like, oh, that'll just like the natural gas will go to the air. It's not a big deal. I think that Ye may have a somewhat spiteful motivation as not fully engaged in his cause as he wants us to feel. I mean, I wouldn't like I always say in my podcast and here, don't put your hope in politicians. Don't put your hope in celebrities. Don't put your hope in another human being. Don't put your hope in me. I'm going to say stuff that is going to, you're going to disagree with or be offended by, or just think I didn't hit the mark or something like that. Yeah. I mean, it's important like to not look at people as gods, you know, don't look to them to like bring you happiness and joy in the world. But it's important to like engage with one another and take little bits and pieces from, you know, Kanye or politicians or people you like in the world, but don't make it your faith. Don't make them your God. Maxwell played ball. Maxwell played ball. She didn't give up the black book to the press. She got full immunity from the media and gets to spend a short period at minimum security resort. Do you think when Maxwell exits, no one's going to go after her? I'm curious of that. Justice is on live support. Yeah, of course it is. Well, Justice right now is very politically motivated. You know, people that are consumed with pushing their own agenda down. That's what the justice system is. Agree 100%. Appreciate that. I must be wrong. All I see is Chris Kardashian, Bruce Jenner, now Caitlyn, ex-wife, talking about the transition. Okay, I thought so. I was like, if Chris is transitioning, I mean, I've watched Bravo once in my life. I wish you said that earlier, Derek. I put my hope in you already. Thanks for nothing, you filthy ginger. Worship me, Papa. Worship. Acumen. Okay, now we got another clip. talking about Kanye and his kids. Let's check this out.
Like, there's so many fathers and mothers that go to work every day and they're in a situation where they're biting their tongue because they think it will be better for their children.
That's right.
So even me in my position, I was biting my tongue on my political opinion because I thought it would be better for my children. And now you look up and my kids are going to a school that teaches black kids a complicated Kwanzaa. Kwanzaa doesn't, so they don't teach even Christmas itself, Christ Mass. They don't teach it at Sierra Canyon. And what they do is take all of the celebrities, the actors, the basketball players, and they throw them in this one school and they indoctrinate the kids. So my son's psalm is brilliant. So right now, they're looking to figure out how to indoctrinate him to make him be another part of the system. I have a choir at my school. So right now, we've come to a compromise, but I'm not finished because I don't compromise. But we come to a compromise when my kids go to my school after school and they learn choir. I sat there with my son and he came and he said, why do I need to sing? I don't even go to your school. So imagine the 16-year-old version of that guy, the 26-year-old version of that guy, where the father doesn't have say-so of what the kids are watching, what the kids are wearing, what the kids are eating, who the kids are hanging out with.
Dang. I mean, that is public school to a T. They always teach you about questioning authority, and that's what created me, and I'm their worst nightmare now. Ghislaine has, Queen says, sorry, I'm going to catch up on your text. Ghislaine has stored blackmail stuff. A lot of them, I'm sure she does. Maxwell will disappear. Yeah, I bet she will. When she is released, nobody will talk about it. Either that or she tragically will take her, probably. Or she'll hang out with the Clintons. The FBI has the black book, probably a lot of politicians. I'm sure the FBI has a lot of information that they're not willing to talk about. Maxwell, I mean, there's a reason why these agencies get so bloated with money and, not like a big turnover rate and stuff like that. And politicians don't talk about like abolishing them or even holding them accountable. There has to be a reason why they don't talk about it. Maxwell is a tragic tale of a woman trapped inside a system a man created and forced her to take part in. Why would the media track her past, making up that story? She's an accomplice, and encouraged it and was a groomer and pushed girls on to him. I mean, there's like so much that she was a part of it. Okay, listen to this. Here's Kanye saying he's going to be president.
If I was or once I am, I will eventually be president before, in my lifetime.
Me too, man. Me too. When I'm president. I mean, in my lifetime.
If I was or once I am, I will eventually be president before, in my lifetime. If I was
incredible and freaking incredible. From what I heard behind the closed doors, the federal government is so depraved and dude, I bet, man. I feel like there's a reason a lot of these politicians like Obama, even Trump to a degree, like they talk like a big game about hope and change and bringing about new things. And then they get in the office and they just like become totally, or they talk about like stopping wars and all of a sudden we're in more wars than ever. And it's like, wait a minute, what's going on? There has to be there must be like the day you get in the office, you have all these ideas, you're all pumped up to work. And then they're like, all right, let me tell you how this is actually going to work. And they're like, wait a minute, what? Chrono says, but she was a real victim and opposed the president after his lifetime. Okay. Yo, yay. If you run for president, can I have a job that gives me free unlimited access to the White House stash of soap and toilet paper? Dude, do you have bowel problems or something? Do you think Joe's the big guy? I can't say definitively, but Tony Bobulinski does. So and no one can disprove him. So if the minute until somebody disproves Tony Bobulinski, then like we can have a conversation. But right now, it's completely based on him, and no one's going to look into it besides Tucker Carlson. Not even other anchors on Fox News. It's just it's just a weird time period. No, Derek, I'm extremely cheap and lazy. That's fair. Oh, yes. All right, next clip is Kanye talking about the food. The food we eat, which I'm all about, man. More like... Corona, God, I'm gonna freaking virtually slap you. I almost said it. You're getting closer. Corona, you gotta come up with like words that will make me say it out loud, and I won't notice it.
For the Disney guys, you might not believe in God, but God believes in you. It's not a battle you can win. It's like, don't jump, Anakin, I have the higher ground kind of situation.
Monsanto. Good call out. Call back.
You could put out all of the indoctrinations and, moves and have the biggest media company. But why am I alive? Why am I protected? Why did I become the richest black man of all time? Like, how did that happen? And the more and more I lean into God and work for God, the more wins God is going to bestow on our team, on Jesus Gang. And for me to go out and just state an obvious and empathetic statement in the middle of the most liberal central, that was like Tiananmen Square or something, right? I was like, with Candace Owens, and we both wore the shirt at the same time. We got some Jesus soldiers out here, and people say they're willing to die for it, but we live for it. We're living for the battle. And what's the battle for? Life itself, our children. They're killing us through the food. They're killing us through the content. They're killing us through the programming. But God is alive, and He's alive in all of us, and we will overcome.
It sounds like you're hopeful for the future of the country.
Absolutely, because I have the vision for it. I understand the ecosystem. I understand how to even liberate a big pharma. I have solutions for the future. I don't have the entire vision. Certain things are just in front of me and they happen when they're supposed to happen. But there's so many open doors.
Man, the whole Monsanto thing and how they don't talk about it is crazy. And Papa, you're right about looking into the food. That stuff is creepy. Like the more you look into it about like plastics in the food and chemicals that are in the food and how we're just like willingly open to eating things like cornstarch and like seed oils and not like caring, like even like the stuff like people trying to do documentaries on the way animals live in particular farms, and then like you're not allowed to film in that areas, and like the meat we consume and not buying from local farmers and because it's cheap, it's like out of mind, out of sight. Like we play a huge part in all that. So I mean, like 4 years ago, I went down like a long food documentary and just like internet searches about food, and I changed the way I eat as far, especially with not just food in general. Now I eat mainly just like meat, and I'll just rice as my carb sometimes, and then a lot of like some toast here and there, but that's about it. And then, but all my meat is going to be from local farms in my area. I'm just going to pay more, and I get it. I rather support them anyways because they believe what I believe anyways. And also they're good people, and the meat is 10 times better than especially the pork. Dear God, store-bought pork is trash compared to the pork I buy. I would also assume I always assume I'm still alive because nobody has tried to shoot me yet. Dude, yeah, I hope so. If I wore the shirt, I'd be crucified. I'm 30% sure. Dude, I would never wear that shirt either. I would laugh about it, be like, yeah, I could totally wear that. I would probably be shot too. We're in a country of rebels. Just look at all the middle fingers we threw at the metric system. Dude, I wish we kept the metric system. Dear God, it's so much better. I started drinking green juice. It's cruel and unusual, but it doesn't make me feel like garbage. Good, man. Soylent Green. I'm sorry, you're mean. You mean what is going? Wait, I'm sorry. You're mean is what is going. What? Is there a part where he? God. Corona, my God, man, freaking fucks you, dude. Okay. Oh, this is an interesting question. Now, this Kanye West explains how he thrives on a conservative conservative Christian in a liberal-dominated industry. Meat. Your meat is going to... Okay. I was like, what the heck are you talking about, dude? All right. God. Fucking A, man. Papa says, you wish we kept a metric system? Tell me something, Derek. When you dream, are your chairman Mao Big Spoon or Lip Spoon? I dream of chopsticks only. I was like trying to think... Yes, I like the metric system way more. Okay, get over it, bro. Hand me that 10. Hand me that 3/4, 5/8. That's way better. Get out of here. All right. Kanye West. Okay, this might be interesting, but I'll keep talking with the chat.
I don't understand how you can work and be so successful and influential in the music business and the fashion industry, the two most liberal businesses probably in the world.
This gives me so much hope. Just having a podcast like I have and then still working full time, like hearing that, I'm like, you know what? If Kanye can do it as a multi-millionaire, I can do it as a broke bastard. The metric system is nice when you aren't trying to get to the moon. Hey, I think China they're at the moon. They're doing more they're doing more space stuff than our NASA, and we have Nazis. Do you realize how many people sacrifice their lives to keep the metric system out of America? Probably not. Are we fighting?
As a professing Christian with a pro-life badge on, how does that work?
I always think, whenever God allows a brilliant idea to channel through me.
I wish I talked like that. Yeah, whenever God gives me a brilliant idea, whenever I'm on my A game and people are just like, "Whoa, Derek, you're crazy, bruh." I only fight with knives and sometimes food, but mostly knives. When God gives me oh, what just happened? Okay.
I don't understand how you can work in industry, the two most liberal businesses probably in the world, as a professing Christian with a pro-life badge on. Hey. How does that work?
I always think, whenever God allows a brilliant idea to...
He's basically Moses. I mean, he talked about Moses last night, so this makes sense. A measuring system is whatever, but things we base the units off is
channel through me and allows me to somehow, take credit for it. I always snicker at the fact that with the liberals, their main tool is, that they use are artists and influencers, right? But then God has the #1 artist and the #1 influencer as a conservative. So I always chuckle at that. Every time I come up with some brilliant, I'm like, could you imagine if, they could have just indoctrinated Ye? The world could have just, totally been ran into the hole. And there's battles that the devil had won, but the devil's a defeated foe. Like, for me to have gone from Jesus walks to you're such a hoe, I love it, you know, that's that deviation from the path. So, I mean, I love that question because I really, every time, it just tickles me, you know, like that the very thing that liberals use the most of, they don't have the best person at it.
Oh, man, I wish Indiana Jones had conversations with God twice. Part of me is like, I know these guys, he's so arrogant. It's incredible. It's just it's incredible. Maybe my podcast would explode if I started talking like him. Just like, I am the greatest podcaster of all time. Y'all come to me because you know you talking to God, huh? Emitters now 297,000th of the circumference of the Earth. Some return. If what is the length to some dead assholes? Who cares? I just wish we had didn't have two systems to learn. Okay, I'm with you on that, Chrono. I used to have a car that had kilometers per mile. How do you determine who's the number one influencer? You just ask Kanye and he tells you. It's me, huh?
I mean, do you talk to other people in your business, you know, who are successful in the music industry, the fashion business, who secretly agree with you?
Yeah, there's a lot of people. I mean, there's a lot of fashion people. I mean, Tommy Hilfiger loved Trump. Let me see who.
Boy, putting everyone on blast. He's like, Tommy Hilfiger's like, hey, don't tell people that, dude. Let me say, Tommy Hilfiger love him. Jeff Zuckerberg love him. Even Joe Biden love him, but he won't ever tell you that. Tommy Hilfiger. Remember Tommy Hilfiger in the 90s? That shit was so fire.
I got to think of all the other Trump. I'm not even going to use the term Trump supporter, right? Because that's, why don't people say
exactly.
Hillary supporter or Biden supporter? This is just, you know, yeah, there's a lot of people. You know what? You know.
The craziest part is I look at his beard and I'm like, dude, you're a multi-millionaire. Like, clean that junk up, dude.
People in my business who love Trump, businessmen, people who love money.
Yeah.
You know, people who love money, people who actually like being successful, and, you know, and not ran into the ground.
I don't.
Let us not forget this success is mostly due to spoiled adolescents driven by ad influencers push. Yeah. Let's see. I remember Kimmy Gibbler wearing plaid overalls in the episode of Full House. Kimmy. Papa, did you have a thing for Kimmy? Is that what you're trying to tell everyone? That's okay, though. Oh, that was the last clip. What are you going to do, man? What are you freaking going to do? Kimmy Gibbler. I didn't think she wasn't my type. Though she was absolutely beautiful. Have you guys seen this Chris Cuomo clip of him? Do you know Chris Cuomo has a new news show? Do you guys know that? I never purchased a single item from Ye has on the market. Dude, you goss to, bruh. Me neither. I don't have any Ye stuff either. I give his beard a 6 out of 10 on the beardometer. I'm thinking about growing my beard back out. I used to have a huge beard, and I used to enter like beard competitions and stuff. Like it was pretty gnarly, pretty dwarf-like from Lord of the Rings, not real life. Not really the 90s plaid was just weird. Have you seen Chris Cuomo in his new series? He has like a call-in show, and I think his call-in show isn't going to be as good as Back to Cuomo. To Chomo.
Let me get another caller. Next.
We have Warren from Kutztown, PA.
All right, Warren, give it to me quick.
It's over.
Warren? Guys!
Dusty's yelling at people. Warren, you there? Dusty, you scared him. Give me another caller.
Okay, let's try if we can get Debbie. I don't know if we're going to get Debbie, but I know she has an issue with your wardrobe. I can tell you that much.
What?
Yeah, she doesn't like your tie.
What?
Yeah, I don't even know if you're going to get Debbie, but I can tell you that Debbie does not want you wearing ties anymore.
Are you
might
Debbie?
There you
but
go,
tell Debbie
Chrono. Chris Cuomo. Good. You did it. You freaking did it, Chrono. I'm so freaking proud of you, man. I love watching like professional news places that can't run it as well as me with a stupid mouse and my own clipboard. Give it to me quick. It's probably something he tells. Oh my God.
why you have to wear a tie.
Talk to my boss.
Exactly.
It's like playing for the Yankees here at News Nation.
And I'm not me. Way above me. Way above me.
Yes, I'm here.
Because I didn't want you in a tie.
Nobody thought you were my boss.
Okay, well.
Is this
somebody.
Debbie? Debbie.
No, you don't. You only have
You just
me.
have like random people talking to me on the phone?
You only have me, unfortunately.
What's going on in this operation?
You have Dan Abrams.
All right, let me talk to Dan. At least I know he exists. Thank you very much, Dusty. Appreciate you.
We're still getting this whole sort of,
thing. Phone calls?
I can't hear any of the phone calls. I can't hear anything in my ear. So I'm hoping.
I got
because
voices
don't
in
have
my
time.
head all the
Usually
time.
until you started here, I had plenty of time to check things in. I'd be like, oh, we're good. Now that you're here, I'm sitting on the set. I'm like, I don't hear anything. I can't hear a thing. So I don't even know when I start my show if it's going to make any sense.
Dude, I don't know who thought Chris Cuomo being back. Is this CNN Plus? No, this is News Nation. I think it's like a Amazon Prime thing. I've been Cords Willie on Rumble says I got a biker beard going. Good, dude. Good. News Nation is like I think a Amazon Prime thing. It's so weird. Who thought Chris Cuomo would be a good idea? That freaking prick. I mean, the guy is such a douche. Like I don't understand why people keep giving him these chances of like. And I don't know if you've seen his like promo to his new news, but it's like he's like, oh, I'm back and I'm better than ever and I'm going to be more real than I've ever been in my life. And you're just like, dude, you're the fakest dude I've ever met in my life. Remember when he like walked up the stairs pretending he was in isolation for COVID for CNN? That was like the biggest lie ever. And he was like hugging his family. He like brought his family into the lie. That was so ridiculous. I want to call up a show and act normal in a screening process and speak to him with a fake Russian accent. I would love that. Hello, it's me, Putin. I'm here to cause a stir. He's moving down the ladder like his big bro. I know. I'm happy for him to be gone though. It's like I'm done. I'm done with like Cuomo's. I'm done with those people. Need to like let bygones be bygones and just go away. It's time to go away, man. It's over. It is freaking over, dude. Let me guys ask you a question. If I ever did like a Sunday night show, would that be something you guys would be interested in? Thought about making a Sunday night show, like a call-in show. But it would only be on Rumble because I don't trust you guys. Would you guys would a Sunday call-in show be good or a weekday call-in show? What would be better, a weekday call-in show or a Sunday? I can't tell if I should take off Sundays or I feel like Sundays is no one's in Sundays. He's moving down the ladder. Don Lemon and his morning show. Ahem. I need to eat some freaking dinner. That debate was boring. That debate was so boring. The Minute Hour does a weekly call-in show. A near weekly. I don't know who the Minute Hour is. Again. Are you saying you have keen intellect? Why do you keep saying acumen? People have to move for free time. People have more free time on the weekend on average. That's true. I typically work Sundays, but I should be able to make it in. Yeah, I don't work Sundays. Sundays is my only day that I don't work. I don't know if I should not. You know, I'm a bit of a workaholic. I work way too much and then do this on the side for fun. All right, I'll think about it. I'll probably definitely try it this Sunday. See how it goes. We'll give it a good old college try. So look out for Sunday's live stream. I have no input on a show time. I'm not a dependable viewer. For real, you're a dependable viewer. You're here and having a good time with me right now. And that's all that freaking matters, dude. That is all that matters. I appreciate you being here. Acumen was a video posted by the Minute Hour, and I'm a dog. I think it was funny. Hey, I mean, whatever tickles your fancy, Chrono. You know, don't let anybody tell you anything different. Everyone thinks different things are funny. Some people think farts are funny, and I'm one of those people. So we're all children. We're all trying to figure out this whole thing. All right, guys, I'm going to call it a night. It's almost 2 hours live streaming. Dear God. I appreciate it. I appreciate every single one of you guys for hanging out with me. Cords on Rumble, I always appreciate you holding down the Rumble for me. Chrono and your freaking cum jokes. For real, I'm not I appreciate you being here. Papa, Queen Bird. Papa, you're the worst. Queen Bird, you're the best. Find it, fix it. I appreciate you. Brendan, I appreciate you. I appreciate all you guys. You guys are the best. Time flies. I know. Time does fly. Tonight's my bad night. I'm going to have some pizza. Like a crazy person. I said a good palate cleanser would be the Acumen video. I don't trust you, dude. I don't trust you. I don't trust you at all, man. You like lead me to a video that would get me taken off YouTube. This is the palate cleanser. I wouldn't say I'm the worst, but yeah, I'm pretty down. Nah, dude, you're the best. I appreciate you guys are the best. This is a crazy time that we're living in. This is a crazy time period. People are up in arms. People are losing their minds. I get some of the dumbest comments from people that don't subscribe to my channel. So those of you that do subscribe to my channel and you chat with me all night, you guys are the best. I'm deadly serious, and like I appreciate you guys so much. You guys mean the world to me. You're the best. Please watch. I've suggested a nice grill, but it has a parental warning on it. I'll check it out, but I'm not going to do it right now. But I appreciate every single one of you guys. You guys mean so much to me. And yeah. Sorry, 2 dangerous content warnings. Okay. You're not really selling it for me. God. But you guys are the best. I'm serious. I know there's a million streams out there, so I appreciate you guys for hanging out with me. It means a lot to me that you chose to hang out with me over somebody else. I hope to always give you guys as much attention as this, so I appreciate you guys. You know, tell your friends and family about the show. And I just got off my ban on TikTok, so I'm back on the Chinese app. But I'll be producing more videos this weekend anyways, and doing a live show on Sunday, and we'll check it out. Thanks for the sanity, Papa. I appreciate that. It means a lot to me. I'm trying to be as sane as possible. I could be crazy. I could be just go purely for clicks, and I just get bored of that kind of crap. And I'm sure you get bored of that crap too. But yeah, I appreciate you guys. Have a good night. Have some fun. Drink something good. Eat something good. Literally picked you over my girlfriend who didn't leave like she said she would. Good. Tell her that no one looks at you and no one loves you the way I love you, Chrono. Find you a girl that loves you the way I love. BKL. Thank you so much. You slipped through my cracks. No pun intended. BKL, I appreciate you. You're the best. And I appreciate you. That sounds like she'd break up with me. You're better than that. I'm sure your jokes hit the marks for your girlfriend. That's important in a relationship. All right, have a good night, guys. I appreciate you. Eat something good, drink something good, get good sleep, have good friends, funds, and all that crap. Don't watch The Rings of Power. That show sucks. I don't know why I'm still watching it. All right, bye.